Hi, I'm George from BluefishToys.com. We do reviews on electronic toys. Today we're going to be looking at the LiteHawk Quattro. It's a lower end drone, but still a drone. Still has 4 sets of propellers, full controls and everything. Does not come with a camera. Doesn't have power to go super far, super high. And but you know what? As a beginning drone, I'm kind of excited to try this out, and I think it's going to be just a blast. It has its own separate controller that you use for flying it around. It doesn't have the interfaces like some of the higher end ones do that go to your iPhone or your Galaxy phone or whatever. But I think it's going to be a blast, and we're going to open it up and see how it flies around.
Drone's flying by.
There's not much to it. It's underneath. It's just got like, I don't know what I expected to see under here, like a little community or something, but it's got like a little tiny circuit board, and it looks like a couple of LEDs, and I'm assuming this is for the battery or for charging, and then it's got its 4 little propellers, but it's got spare propellers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you can see those, there's the world's smallest little tiny plastic gears, and so obviously those are what this propeller spin on for the motors. So I'm guessing when the propellers hit something hard at the speed they're going, either the propeller goes or these little plastic gears go, or both. So they've given you a full set of spares to replace them when they strip out. Can you see that? So yeah, you're going to need you'll need batteries for this, so make sure you buy some batteries. It takes 6 AA batteries. Without this, it's not going to fly, so you want to get those AA batteries. Again, the battery for inside the actual Quattro itself is already included. You just need to install it, and charge it up. And she's ready to fly. Just for a word of caution, if you've never flown a RC helicopter before, any of that kind of stuff, this is a little trickier than one of those small RC helicopters, but they are very stable, and I believe they can do tricks. We're going to try that out. Pretty sure that a lot of these will actually do a flip in midair, and we'll give those things a try, and we'll see how it flies. Okay, so this unit, I mentioned earlier, that came with 2 little spare plastic gears, very small little, really small little gears. And where they obviously go is right here, from the motor to the actual device that drives the propeller. So you can see those are little plastic gears with little plastic teeth, so if that propeller hits something when they're spinning around at super speed, you can easily see how that gear becomes stripped, and rather than no longer having a toy to fly, they actually do give you spare gears and spare propellers to put in and do your own replacements. I think that's great. So when we took the Quattro outside, of course the first thing you need to do is get the trim control set up. So if it's going too much to the left or the right, we don't take it off very high in air, just until we figure out which way it wants to turn. And we use the trim controls to offset that, and then land it and reset it and do it over a few times until we figure we got good control, and then we go ahead and take off and let her go up higher into the sky when we think we have complete control over it. You know, like most quadcopters, the Quattro is very stable. And it was actually, once we got used to the controls, it was very easy to fly. We could land it, we could take off over and over again, crashed it quite a few times. But you know, outdoors we had no problem with even small breezes. As long as we went to the 2nd power level, it was able to handle small breezes relatively well. If we were doing it with level 1, which is the slower, not as powerful mode, it certainly got blown around the field a bit, but easy to overcome. And you know, we were quite happy with this little drone. As you can see, it certainly goes well up into the sky, almost to the point where the camera can hardly pick it up. And at nighttime, it's got the LEDs underneath the arms that hold the propellers in place, and so you can tell which way it's pointing in the dark up in the sky. It's got 2 different colors of LEDs. We found that the flight time lasted between 7 and 11 minutes, maybe 8 minutes to 11 minutes, and it was really controlled by whether we were running the regular mode or the sport mode. The sport mode uses more power and gets more speed out of it, but certainly drains the batteries faster. One little good idea is that you can actually go to the LiteHawk site and order a whole new battery, like a second battery for it, for basically $7, and that, you know, to double your flying time for $7 to head out to the field with 2 batteries, maybe even 3 batteries. It's a pretty small price to pay to get all that extra flying time, so I would certainly consider that. I absolutely love the fact that it's got the 4-channel flying, the ability to slip sideways, and to do it that way. I often found myself getting lazy, and rather than turning the quadcopter towards the direction I wanted to go in, I would simply have it do the sideways movement and go that way, and you certainly see that in some of these videos. You'll see me not necessarily turning, I just sort of let it slip sideways and use that 4th channel to head that way. It took us a few times out to get, you know, relatively proficient at flying this little quadcopter around, and but it really is an easy, you know, for a 4-channel quadcopter, if you haven't flown very many of them around, it actually doesn't take very long to get used to using it and flying it. And again, because it's so stable, its takeoffs are nice and flat and even, and makes it real easy to learn how to fly it. Now we're going to go ahead and do some flips. Real easy to do with this helicopter. There's one flip there. We'll slow it down and show it to you again in slow motion. There she goes. It's basically, you turn the joystick which way you want it to do, a sideways flip or a front flip or a back flip, and then you hit the button and it does the flip. I'll show you this one again in slow motion. Zoom in a little bit, and there it is up in the sky doing its flip. It loses a little bit of height every time you do it because, of course, physics taking control when it's upside down. The propellers aren't adding lift, they're pushing it back down towards the earth. So you want to do a real fast flip, but that it controls all that itself. Once you've got good control of it and you've learned how to sort of handle it quite well, you can have it zoom along the ground pretty easily. What I'm doing here is I'm just making it do little hops to spin it around rather than trying to get up in the air and spin it around. You can also do the same thing for setting your trim buttons. You sort of raise it up a foot off the ground. You'll see whether or not it's going to go sideways or in a direction you don't want to go. And you can use those little hops to click on your trim button until you get it, when it goes up, it just stays hovering in the area where you want it. It's a very agile little flyer. We had to zoom in all over the field at different heights, and this was actually a fairly windy day, and it handled it really without a whole lot of trouble whatsoever. Turning it in midair, pretty easy to do. It's very responsive. It's got a range of about 100 feet, and I'm pretty sure we actually went further than that in a few of our flights. I actually never hit a point where I lost control. There's another flip for you. Nice close to the ground flip. We had a few of those flips that we first tried them quite low. They actually landed right on the ground as part of that flip. Here we're going to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to zoom around and have them come right at the camera.
Okay, so we'll go back and we'll finish our review on it. We had a very windy day and we're flying them on grass, and the wind kept shifting, but you know what, all in all he actually flew pretty good. We got lots of good flights out of him, and once you get used to the trim or just dealing with the joysticks, he actually flies pretty good. He'll go very high in the sky. We weren't able to do that with this exact one of flights because it's just too windy and we'd lose control of him up in the sky. And you saw sometimes in the videos where he went hard sideways or hard forward. That was basically the wind just grabbed him and took off, and as much as I put the controls over to try to get him to turn the other way, there's some wind he just can't overtake. But all in all, he's taken lots of bounces and held up, and pretty happy with him. I'm George. I'm with BlueFishToys.com, and we review electronic toys. Good job. I'm sure they said unpack this upside down so the propellers hit the ground. Oh. I have no idea what you're saying.
Turn around.
I'm George, I'm with BluefishToys.com, and we yeah, it's blue because he got me all rattled now. Okay. Here's the back of our shirt. Just got these shirts in.